Hi, team. This is George. I appreciate all the effort you're putting into our class. And I want to take a moment to just pause and reflect because there's two things that are very special to the learning process and to us personally as well, and me included. And one of them is struggle, and the other one is your story. Struggling, if anyone finds themselves struggling with the context of this class or anything else, that's fantastic. Celebrate a little bit because we learn so much from the struggle. So often people want to take that away from us and make things easy for us. But when we actually have deep learning, you know what? Sometimes things are tough and we might struggle, and that is okay. It is okay to struggle. It's okay to reach out for help as well. I am always here. So if you are struggling, understand that that's a part of the learning process. That's a wonderful thing. So embrace that struggle. And when you embrace that struggle, all of a sudden your perspective changes. I kind of learned this the hard way. I always struggled through school. I was probably the biggest struggler out there. I couldn't stand it. I hated school. And that started way back in high school. And not until became an adult and got even out of the service, did the service was where I learned to embrace the struggle and embrace the things that are hard because you're going to get those meaningful tools and you're going to learn things in a meaningful way. And it wasn't until I got out of the service and was actually mentored by somebody where I learned that it was okay to struggle with things in the school context and life context. Because in school, one of the reasons why I hated it is because I did struggle, and when I struggled and saw that other people did not struggle, it was frustrating. So I learned to embrace the struggle. And now that I've found out is because I have struggled so much with it, I have a bigger tool set than a lot of people who breeze right through school. So think about it. Instead of going from point A at the bottom of the mountain to point B at the top of the mountain, I started at point A and I went around in circles until I reached that top to plant my flag. And on that traveling through all those struggles gave me some pretty cool tools that I can use that help me make sense of things, make sense of the world. That's why I feel myself as a very practical person who can use all of the knowledge and stuff that we gain. So if you're struggling, that's wonderful. Celebrate, enjoy the struggle, embrace it because something amazing is going to come out on the other end. And the other thing that I want to talk about is your story. Um, God made us. God gave us our story. God gave us a path to follow, and we're following it. And throughout this path, we're creating our story. So think about that for a minute. If we're created by God and things are laid out in a way where we create our story, that's powerful. So our story is no accident. So let's link that back to our struggle. So if we had a certain struggle in some way, that cultivated us and changed us in a very powerful way to where we can use that for for God's purpose that we have, because we do all have a purpose, and a big piece of our life is finding that purpose. God gave it to us. It's our job to find it and see what these different tools we have through the different struggles that we've taken help us to bring our story and bring glory to God through our story and helping others. So think about that for a minute. So if you're struggling, embrace it. If you're thinking about your story and you might think, oh, my story is this, my story is that, it's not as big as others. It's not, no, God gave you that story and He doesn't do anything without purpose. So your story is very purposeful. So think about that in terms of learning and everything else. Wow, what you have is amazing. And if you don't think you have enough, something's sitting right in front of you to help you gain enough. So never short sell, if you will, your story. So I'm going to be sharing bits and pieces of my story throughout this. So you already know that I couldn't stand school. I was a struggling learner, and I hated certain things about the whole education process. And I love that because now I can see the tools that it gave me to practically apply everything and follow the path that God laid out for me. So I hope that you're able to see that as well. So, in a nutshell, what I want to say was, as you look backwards, everything lines up and you can see how purposeful everything is. So, knowing that as we move forward with a smile because all the struggle, all the parts and pieces that are making up our story have a purpose. We may not know what that purpose is at the very moment, but you know what? It's very purposeful. So just have faith, move forward, and have a fantastic week.